away we go. This is the first of 10 spring training games on your home of the Cardinals all season long, Fox Sports Midwest. Spring training 2013 from Roger Dean Stadium. And this afternoon, the Atlanta Braves come to Jupiter, Florida. Final meeting of the spring between these two teams, the Braves and your St. Louis Cardinals. And welcome to Cardinals baseball. As you can imagine, we're ready to go. We're excited about this. 150 regular season games in high definition right here on Fox Sports Midwest. That's Al Hrabosky. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Al, this is year number 29 for you behind the mic. And what a better way to start this season out with a very good pitching matchup today, but also for the Cardinals, maybe figuring out that fifth starter today, too.
It's all about competition, and you're really going to see the number 5 starter. Is it going to be Joe Kelly? Is it going to be Shelby Miller? The one thing I'm concerned about is look at how few innings. Kelly is going to start here today, his third start of the year, but only 4 innings for the right-hander.
So it's Joe Kelly getting to start. The Cardinals will face a lefty in minor for the Atlanta Braves. Still some unfinished business for them concerning their roster as well. We're set to go. It's Mike Matheny in his second season as the skipper of the St. Louis Cardinals. A lot of the everyday players are in the lineup today. That includes a new look at second base. Matt Carpenter, he's in the lineup. He'll bat second and play second. Baseball comes your way next. Brought to you by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Plaque of George Kissel, the longtime minor league instructor, the Cardinals organization, and that is the door that leads into the Cardinals clubhouse here at the complex at Roger Dean Stadium. Come to spring training, Al Hrabosky, and you always hear the names of George Kissel and Dave Ricketts.
No doubt about it, and George Kissel really wrote the book of how to play Cardinal baseball, and it's a pretty good book for everybody to learn and to really find out how to play this game the right way, all the intricacies that take place. And I was really happy to see that Brian Eversgerd, remember the lefty, was the recipient of the George Kissel Award this year, given to the, I guess, the best minor league coach.
There's a look at Freddie Gonzalez entering his third season as the manager of the Atlanta Braves. Jordan Schaefer, a former Brave, now back with him, will lead it off. And then Tyler Pasternicki, Freddie Freeman, Dan Ugla off to a slow start. Then Chris Johnson. They've got some guys that are part of their AA and AAA affiliates on this trip. Gaddis, Terdalazic, Peraz, and the pitcher Mike Minor.
Joe Kelly will be making his third start of the spring. The last time he got roughed up a little bit just with lack of command. He walked 3 in that ball game. And so that's something I'd like to see him work ahead in the count and have a little better command of the strike zone.
And he faces a lineup here that has been one of the hottest of any team this spring, whether in Arizona or here in Florida. Braves lead all National League teams this spring. 192 hits as a team. They're batting .274. This is Jordan Schaefer. He was their opening day center fielder back in 2011. And the first pitch is taken for a strike, and we're underway here in Jupiter.
Good speed, as you said, back with he was with the Astros last season and then reacquired by Atlanta.
Picked up off of waivers. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike this far this spring, hitting just .256. Last year with Houston, a .211 hitter with 4 home runs and 23 RBIs. And misses down, 2 balls and 1 strike. Very big start today for Joe Kelly. Shelby Miller at some point will follow, depending on the pitch count here for Joe Kelly. As you mentioned, he needs work. He needs some innings. And he's trying to solidify his spot as the 5th man in the rotation for St. Louis. Trevor Rosenthal, who was also part of the trio initially at the beginning of spring. We may see him today, but he's now back officially in the bullpen.
In the bullpen, and I think we both like that decision.
The 3-1 ties him up. It's popped up to the left side. Pete Kozma going out. It is a windy day. Calls off Holiday, and he makes the catch. Look at the Cardinals defensively. Matt Holliday, first time he's appeared in a game since March 6th. John Jay in center. Tavares is in right. On the infield, Freese, Kozma, Carpenter, and Craig. Very well could be your opening day infield there. Tony Cruz, the backup catcher, is behind the plate. And it's Joe Kelly on the mound. Tyler Pasternicki.
Remember, a year ago, he was battling for the starting shortstop job. He won it, but then lost it during the course of the year to Simmons, who was just an outstanding talent, but Tyler's having a good season.
417 this spring, couple of home runs. That catches the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Andrelton Simmons, who you mentioned, he's playing in the WBC, the World Baseball Classic for the Netherlands, but he is an outstanding talent, and he will be their everyday shortstop.
Yes, and he is by far the superior defender. And even with Pasternicki and a 400-plus average, Simmons is still a better hitter, too. But a lot of people think that's an extremely high ceiling for the young shortstop, Simmons.
Pasternicki, last year, 76 games, he hit .243 for Atlanta. 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball, got him. First strikeout of the afternoon for Joe Kelly, 2 down.
Good breaking ball right there. Used to be years past, maybe a pitcher would, and even starters, first, second, third time through the order, they were only throwing fastballs. Learn fastball command, both sides of the plate, up and down, and now you start seeing these kids come out throwing breaking balls at the first pitch.
Here is Freddie Freeman. Led their team in RBIs a year ago, and he bounces one towards first. It stays fair. Alan Craig is there. Good start for Joe Kelly. We're glad you're with us. The first of spring training games on Fox Sports Midwest. It's Cardinals baseball, and it's back. in Jupiter, as he was in St. Louis the last couple of days working on his back. He had surgery, about a 90-minute procedure, and in uniform today. This is a look at his lineup. It's Jay, Carpenter, and Holiday here in the first inning. Then Alan Craig, David Freese, Oscar Taveras, the highly touted prospect who's hitting .282. Then Pete Kozma, very good spring. Tony Cruz, and the pitcher Joe Kelly. They've told Mike Matheny not to throw BP, and you'll see him do that primarily, stand, because he said that's the only way I feel decent all day.
I was talking to him, and probably the thing that he misses the most is throwing batting practice, and he won't be able to do that for about 8 weeks.
Mike Minor, a lefty, 25-year-old from Chapel Hill, Tennessee.
Had a very good second half and finished it off with a great September.
And Jay lines it to third for the first out. That'll get your attention. That's Chris Johnson, the former Astro and Diamondback, who was part of the Upton deal in the offseason. Perez, Schaefer, Krlasovich, then Johnson, Pasternicki, Ugla, Freeman along the infield. Gaddis is behind the plate, longtime minor leaguer. And Mike Minor is on the mound for Atlanta. Here's Matt Carpenter. So Carpenter got to spring training the first week of January and has been here ever since, trying to master the position of second base defensively. And by all accounts, the Cardinals feel very comfortable with him at second base, and now well ahead of where Skip Schumacher was in this transition, and primarily, they say, because he's an infielder by trade.
Yes, that's the big difference. Primarily, playing first or playing third base, the bat comes off the ball comes off the bat a little differently, but he still is not foreign being in the infield. And the good thing with all the work that he did with his father this offseason before getting to camp, working out of second base, it hasn't affected his hitting.
A 3-1 pitch by Minor. Ground ball towards second, base hit. Pass to Ugla. And Carpenter hustling out of the box, thinking two, and he's in there safely. No way that should be a double, but it turns into two for Matt Carpenter, and a chance now for Matt Holiday.
You always can impress someone when you hustle. And right there, he steals a base off the center fielder. Schaefer comes over here. Really didn't take a long time, but it's a left-handed thrower. He's going to his left, and he's got to throw across his body to get it back into second base. Close play. It was worth the gamble.
Good to see Matt Holiday in this lineup today. As I mentioned earlier, out since March 6th, and he cranks one out to center field. That'll stay in the ballpark. It is a windy day. Schaefer makes a shoestring grab, and Matt Carpenter tagging up from second to third. Any other day, that's gone.
Oh, no doubt about it. And the interesting thing there, the wind is really blowing out to right field. Schaefer went back on that ball, but then the wind knocked it down, and he had to come right back towards the diamond to make that shoestring catch. You see, Carpenter makes a good read. He understands, the runner at second base understands it's not going to go out. It should be caught, so he gets back and tags up.
Well, this is where Alan Craig thrived a year ago. Hit .400 with runners in scoring position. And he looks at a strike on the inside corner. Only 86 starts last year for Alan Craig, and he still drove in 92.
Remember, he missed the entire month of April recovering from his knee surgery.
Ground ball left side, backhanded by Chris Johnson. Across the diamond, the Cardinals strand a runner, and we played an inning here at Roger Dean Stadium. First of 10 spring training games on Fox Sports Midwest. brightly here in Jupiter. Glad you're with us. And opening day, by the way, is sold out. But you can still get the hottest ticket of the season with the 10-game opening day pack. They keep some of those opening day tickets aside. And the opening day pack includes the home opener. That is April 8th. And you'll also have 9 additional great games. Ticket packs on sale right now at Cardinals.com. Remember, we open on the road of regular season play. We'll be in Arizona. Then a weekend series with San Francisco. And open up at home. Very tough schedule early on for the Cardinals. Tested early. You're going to play 162. However, looking at the schedule early on, it's on paper fairly tough. Off to a slow start, Dan Uggla.
Kind of synonymous with his career, isn't it?
Streaky, streaky, streaky.
Still one of the best Rule 5 pickups. So he had the tremendous time at power hitting second baseman with the Florida Marlins.
Matter of fact, he is the Marlins' all-time home run leader. Led the National League in walks a year ago at 94, but Freddie Gonzalez at one point, stretch run, actually sat him for games. This will be a test for Holiday with the wind blowing. Now Kozma in foul territory makes the catch. Any other day, that carries out to Matt Holiday for a can of corn, but not today.
Just kind of a reminder, all the infielders should be very active. Any ball hit to the outfield in the air, those infielders are going to have to stay with it too. Might come back to them.
Chris Johnson, part of the Justin Upton deal. Brought over from Arizona. New look to the Braves in their outfield with the Upton brothers. Traded for one, signed another. And they have the face of their franchise in many ways. Jason Hayward in right, who's back only at the age of 24.
They really feel that they have potentially maybe the best outfield in the National League. B.J. Upton, the older of the Upton brothers, is off to a great start. Justin a little bit slower.
And both coming off, at their terms, subpar season. So the Braves decided to unite the brothers for the first time in the big leagues. They played together growing up, obviously, and now here in the major leagues. 1-2 on Chris Johnson. A couple of home runs, 7 RBIs this spring. Ground ball to short. Kozma, bad hop, stays with it. No play. And Johnson is aboard.
He scored as an error against Kozma, but had a chance to throw him out if he could have reached down and picked up the ball the first time. But he misconnected there, and then he had no chance.
Here's Evan Gattis, played in the Southern League a year ago. A catcher that has bounced around in the minor leagues.
Big, strong kid. I was talking to Greg Walker, their hitting coach, and he kind of reminded him of young Lazinski.
That's all or nothing, isn't it?
Well, Greg was a little better. He was more of a better average hitter than, say, Mike Schmidt when he first came to the big leagues. Mike was a 200 hitter at that time. But Lazinski had the tremendous power, and you see this guy's put together too.
Their catcher spot, another breaking ball by Kelly, and for a strike, is a concern right now for the Atlanta Braves. You got Brian McCann, who's coming off of shoulder surgery. It is his throwing shoulder, and he's not available until the middle of April. 6-time All-Star, and when healthy, he produces, but he's got to be healthy, and he wasn't at the end of last year, so much so that Freddie Gonzalez in that playoff game against the Cardinals started, you might remember, David Ross over Brian McCann. So they don't get him back until the first month, and they've also got a guy that we know pretty well, Gerald Laird, they signed in the offseason as their backup.
Right, but they, as you said, they are concerned. They're hopeful that McCann will be able to play around the 16th of April, but there's no guarantees with the shoulder.
Here's a 1-2 pitch by Kelly.
He has been hitting for a couple weeks, but it's the throwing is concerning.
Speaking of throwing, Rafael Furcal is done for the year. And so Cardinals going at this point, it looks like, with Pete Kozma to be their everyday shortstop. Things could change, obviously, as the season progresses, but Pete did a very fine job at the end of last season and has gotten the bulk of the playing time this spring. It's another 1-2 pitch by Joe Kelly. You never know, Al, after the way that things transpired for Pete Kozma at the end of last year, the big hit against Washington. There's a look at the shortstop that maybe he just needed to have a little jolt of confidence. Having said that, the numbers don't lie. He's been about a .235 hitter in the minor leagues, but he's played a lot better here in the major leagues.
Yes, he hit over 300, and as you said, some of those big hits that he got down the stretch was the difference. They wouldn't have gotten to postseason. They wouldn't have gotten through Washington without his offensive contribution. And I've seen guys that actually hit better at the major league level than they do in the minor leagues because pitchers are around the plate more often. And you can imagine when a pitcher is looking at the Cardinal lineup, the last person he thinks about is Pete Kozma. So, sometimes he gets a few groove pitches.
1-2 pitch. The check swing did not go. This is a major league umpiring crew that we have. Many times you'll see some of the minor leaguers get work during spring training games, but not so here today. 2-2 the count. Cardinals would like to see Joe Kelly get at least 4 innings today, if not 5.
His last time out, he was just held to 2 innings because of the walks. His pitch count creeped up.
That was against the Yankees,
yeah.
Yep. The 2-2 pitch from Joe Kelly. It's another breaking ball. His breaking ball, Al, here in the early going, looks pretty sharp.
Just hopefully during the season, maybe it'll tighten up a little bit, be a little quicker, have a little more bite to it. And Kelly, when he came up and made his 16 starts last year, we all noticed his fastball, and it was a good one.
He was telling me earlier in spring that when he weighed 140 pounds when he went to college, he was hitting on the gun 97 miles an hour. So not necessarily the biggest of guys, but still he can bring it. Here's a double play ball. Kozma flips to second. Carpenter, the turn. It's a double play. 6-4-3. The Cardinals will have Freese, Taveras, and Kozma coming up. Automotive Prep Zone as high school sports covered. We're streaming the Missouri Class 4 and 5 basketball semifinals on FoxSportsMidwest.com. Then on Saturday, we will have the Show Me Showdown Championships on Fox Sports Midwest Plus. Head to FoxSportsMidwest.com for the full schedule. And I have to say, Al, go get 'em Griffins. First time ever. The Vianney Golden Griffins have been in the Final Four. So congratulations to Kevin Walsh and those associated with the Golden Griffins.
So proud of your alma mater, I won't even say anything.
Very proud of them. Here's David Freese, followed by Oscar Taveras and Pete Kozma.
And I think they're still going to send you another donation slip.
Yeah. Even if they were the worst in the state, that's still coming. I'm ready for that.
Aren't you happy you're so successful you can fill it out?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. A strike to David Freese. David talking the other day, Al, how this spring training has been more relaxed for him. Things have calmed down after what took place in 2011. All the interviews and the notoriety couldn't go anywhere. And now things have really calmed down. And David very generous with his time with fans, and he strikes out here to start the inning. But you can just imagine what that was like. A hometown hero coming back for the first time since the postseason.
And they handled it extremely well, was very gracious with that time, but at some point you got to learn no. High fastball, change the eye angle. You see that pitch so well because it's at eye level, and yet you can't catch up to it.
Here's Oscar Taveras. Cardinals have placed him just about anywhere you can to get in the lineup. They want to take an extended look at Taveras. He has played left. He can play center, and primarily has been in right. Now, right is his natural position. And when you watch him, Al, and I know we haven't had a chance to have that extended look, he's able to barrel everything up. I mean, he's swinging at crazy pitches sometimes, but yet he's got the uncanny ability to put it in play and drive the baseball.
That's it. You know, he swings with authority, but yet it's very much under control. He hits for a high average. He was the MVP and the batting champion last year at the Texas League level.
Hit .321 last year, and he lines it out to left field, but that'll be caught by Perez. 2 down. Taveras is a big kid. He's 6'2", 200 pounds.
And really, you can see his frame is going to put on more weight. He doesn't get cheated when he swings, but like you said, he makes good solid contact. Starting with Freddie Gonzalez, manager of the Atlanta Braves today, and one of the first things he said is he likes Taveras, and I'm sure everybody in the Grapefruit League is saying the same thing.
There's Pete Kozma, first plate appearance as he drives it out to left, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Mike Minor. Lefty in the rotation for the Braves. Joe Kelly back to work. We're back with a third in a moment. Ricketts passed away in 2008. He's remembered here in Jupiter. That plaque that we mentioned earlier, George Kissel has a plaque near the clubhouse. That one is located near the Cardinals batting cage. You think about it, the great catchers, recent memory that have come through. Pagnazzi, a couple of Gold Gloves. Mike Matheny won 4 of them. Yadier Molina, arguably the best in the game right now. And many credit Dave Ricketts for helping them along. There's a look at Cal Eldred on the right. That's Adam Wainwright on the left. And Wainwright will go tomorrow. We'll have that game for you. And Cal, who has been a member of the Fox Sports Midwest team the last handful of years, says goodbye to us as this pitch is popped up into shallow left. Cosma going out. It'll be Holiday. You could hear him call for it right here. But Cal is now going to be in uniform, working with some of the minor leaguers, also making a trip to St. Louis a couple of times every month. And we are adding Jim Edmonds to our pre- and post games on Fox Sports Midwest. Matter of fact, Jim will make his television debut with us on opening day.
And I don't know if it's been stated, but maybe we got another reliever that's going to do a little work for us.
And it's not a left-handed reliever.
It's not left-handed. I don't know how that happened, but how about Izzy? Going to be doing some broadcasting.
Here's Jordan Peraz. Broken bat and a base hit into center field. 8th place hitter for Freddie Gonzalez. And the first base hit allowed by Joe Kelly. We really enjoyed our time with Cal. There's another old friend, former MVP, Terry Pendleton.
I was going back to Cal Eldred with this common theme. You know, you become a broadcaster with Fox Sports Midwest. You might be the Cardinal manager, might be the Cardinals hitting coach.
That's right.
You might be a special assistant to the general manager in Cal Eldred. What's your next job, Dan?
I'm happy right here, believe me. How about you? You have no inkling of going down there.
No.
I'd love to see you as GM.
No, you wouldn't.
There'd be guys traded, fired, tear up their contracts.
What do you mean I can't get rid of them?
You'd have some serious issues, partner. Here is Mike Minor, the pitcher. Squares to bunt, pushes it foul. Well, for the National League guys, this is normal. Pitchers hitting for themselves. They can use the DH if they'd like in spring training games. And for many of the American League teams, it's a different spring simply for the fact that interleague games now are spread throughout the year. So you're going to have an interleague game every day of the season, beginning from opening day all the way to the end. Chopped off the plate. Kelly, very good athlete, will take it himself. Throws high. And Minor not running down the line very hard. Would have been safe if he was hustling. Carpenter had to leap for that baseball, and it's the second out here in the third inning.
A lot of pitchers make the mistake after fielding a bunt like that. They think they got all the time in the world, and they just kind of lob the throw over. And a lot of times what happens, you get a little floater. Watch Kelly. Does everything right. You know, he kind of takes that little crow hop, but then he tried to ease it such a degree with the throw that he just threw it so high. But Carpenter was able to go up, sky, come down on the bag.
There's Jordan Schaefer back to the top of the lineup. Popped out on a 3-1 pitch his first time up. The Braves are 11-9 in spring training play. The Cardinals 8-1. They've dropped 3 straight.
Cardinals during that 3-game losing streak had 29 scoreless innings, and yet they still lead the Grapefruit League in runs scored.
Sounds like a microcosm of last season. Schaefer a base hit out to left, and the Braves will go on top. Jordan Schaefer a 2-out base hit as he picks up his second RBI of the spring training.
Cardinals would really have worked hard on fundamentals, execution, and right there is playing small ball, comes up, the pitcher sacrificing, gets a man in scoring position, and then he scores on that little flare.
Here's Tyler Pasternicki. Struck out swinging first time through. Joe Kelly has struck out 1 on the day. The Cardinals minor league staff has to be thrilled with what they may see today. Joe Kelly, product of the system. Following him, Shelby Miller, product of the system. And we may see Trevor Rosenthal and also Michael Wacha before the day is through. Rosenthal struck out the side over the weekend as that is thrown into the seats.
Send him back to second base. Believe the runner.
Now, so much has been made of the competition for this 5th spot. And you just wonder if it's in the back of the minds of a guy like Joe Kelly and Shelby Miller, and they try to do a little too much when they get that opportunity to pitch.
It's a very good point, Dan, because, last season when Joe Kelly came to the big leagues, remember Shelby Miller was having a rough first half. He really wasn't qualified, but there was really no pressure on him, and he did an outstanding job for the Cardinals in his 16 starts. But now he knows he's in competition, and there's going to be a numbers game in the bullpen. There's so many great right-handed relievers that if Kelly doesn't make the 5th spot, he may not make that club, in the bullpen.
2 balls and no strikes. We weren't sure what we were going to see from Joe Kelly a year ago, and as you mentioned, he was very impressive.
94-mile-an-hour fastball up and in, you're going to tie up a lot of people, but if you don't swing at that, that's a ball, and you don't want to get behind in the count again.
Two and two. $16 starts, 24 appearances last year for Kelly. Appeared in 12 games at AAA before he was promoted.
Didn't have a good 1-loss record, but he was leading the Pacific Coast League in ERA.
2-2 pitch to Tyler Pasternicki. Big gap into left center field as John Jay, the Cardinal center fielder, is playing shallow and also into right center. Popped up into shallow center. John Jay is there and puts it away. The Braves strike first on an RBI with 2 outs by Jordan Schaefer. 1-0 Atlanta. TV Premium today. Over 150 select spring training games. You can get those live. Every regular season game, live or on demand. On over 250 mobile and connected devices. Visit Cardinals.com for details. Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. Al in his 29th year. Cardinals baseball. There's Tony Cruz as he looks at a strike from Mike Minor. Underway here in the Cardinals half of the third.
I thought Tony Cruz did an outstanding job backing up from Molina. It's not easy because Yadier is such a fixture and is the best catcher in baseball right now. But Tony did a nice job of staying ready, working with the pitching staff, and that's what's most important.
Appeared in 51 games last year for the Cardinals. Hit .254. Mike Minor, this lefty, major league career record of 19 and 15. As Cruz hits it into shallow right for the first out. Scout report. You see so many scouts throughout spring training. The one I received, Al, was that he short arms the ball, sneaky fastball, above average curve. We've seen that at time, and he'll mix in the slider and the changeup. But what have you thought of Mike Minor?
Well, he's got a great arm, and he is still in that process. Even though he had a great second half, now you've got to be able to put a good first half with the good second half, and then you've got something. But so many times, you see a position player or a pitcher have that good finish to a season.
Kelly, a little jam shot towards first. And Freeman steps on the bag for out number 2.
And everyone assumes that it's just going to, you're going to be able to pick up where you left off. In a perfect world, you would be able to do that. But sometimes young pitchers think they have it together and they don't have to work hard anymore. And in this game, with so many talented young kids wanting your spot, you better just continue to be dedicated and even work harder.
How about the young arms the Cardinals have?
I've never seen so many young power arms.
It's amazing.
It speaks very well for the organization, not only for this year, but for the future.
And again, you're looking at potential today of Shelby Miller. We've seen Joe Kelly, Rosenthal, and Waka. It's not far-fetched to say that in a couple of years, that's part of your rotation, those 4 guys, as John Jay pops it up. Jay lined out the first time, and this time he pops out to third to end the third. 4th inning rolls in when we come back. It's Spring Training 2013. Sponsor Cardinals baseball. Budweiser, what's on tap? And it's right-handed pitcher Adam Wainwright tomorrow. And his 4th start And he'll go against the Washington Nationals. We'll come your way at noon right here on Fox Sports Midwest. This is our first of 10 spring training games. We'll have 150 for you, regular season contests, all in high definition here on Fox Sports Midwest. Wainwright, Al, I watched that start. It was March 9th, 4 2/3. Last time out over the weekend, really looked good. Arguably the best start he's made thus far in spring. Struck out 6 as Freddie Freeman reaches on a base hit into right.
Adam was signing an autograph, and somebody had handed him a photograph, an action shot, and he found that his stride was a little bit short. So looks like they try to set up away, but catches too much of the plate, able to hook it right beyond the dive of Matt Adams, the first base, or excuse me,
Alan Craig. Yeah. Matt Adams, by the way, very good spring.
And I was going to say that I'm so excited about that because he was really the talk of camp a year ago. And we saw him at the big league level and looked like he was overmatched, but at that time we didn't really realize that he was hurt. Had the elbow and wrist injury, and now he's gotten that cleaned up, and he's having a terrific spring, and he's maybe putting himself back on the roster.
Cardinals have a pair of right-handers throwing right now in the bullpen.
Well, I think you have Butler, a right-hander that's warming up for this inning, and then Shelby Miller, in case he gets to it, will pitch next inning.
2 balls and no strikes on Dan Uggla. Popped out to short his first time up. Cardinals have turned 1 double play today. These were the types of situations that the Cardinals had talked about potentially getting Miller in today. As far as what you were saying, Al, you want to let him take the appropriate time to get loose. And so he starts now and then potentially coming in next inning. And if he's up now, you figure he's coming in.
Yeah, he's going to pitch. He'll pitch the 5th inning. If Kelly can't get through this inning, then you have the other right-hander.
The 3-0, they turned him loose, could be 2. Carpenter flips to Kozma, and they turn the double play, 4-6-3. That might be one that they talk about, Al, where they say, Matt, go ahead and take that yourself. Step on the bag and let it loose. Those in-between plays on trying to figure out whether to flip it or not.
And those are some of the things that you really cannot practice. You can do that same drill, but not at this speed or not at there. Maybe a little deflection. He was far enough away from the bag that he did the right thing in flipping it to Cosma, and he got him a nice chest high. So he's been involved in 2 different double plays. Matt Carpenter, he's been very good in both of them.
Swing and a miss by Chris Johnson. Carpenter telling me last week that this transition has been a little better than expected. And he said, honestly, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this until I start playing games. I can take all the ground balls I want, but until situations like that take place, I just don't know if this is going to work. And now he's getting an answer. It is working.
It definitely is. You know, Jose Oquendo found that when he saw him earlier in spring that he felt he was a lot further advanced than what he expected him to be. But we also said what a tremendous transition that Matt Carpenter made offensively, being a more productive line drive hitter last spring. So he's not afraid of working.
Not at all. Usually the first guy here at the complex, along with Yadier Molina when he's with the team, Yadi with Team Puerto Rico, those two would get here about 6 a.m. Curveball taken a little bit high, and it's 2-2 on Johnson, who reached on an error by Kozma. First time up, the Cardinals have committed 2 errors on the day. The 2-2 by Kelly. Al, I think you'll be, I don't know, pleasantly surprised is the way to describe it, but wait until you watch Shelby Miller. Looks like a different guy. He's put on about 30 pounds from this time last year. Throwing the ball very hard, throwing very well. Another chance for Carpenter. Gets it on the easy hop and makes the play. Well, Matt Carpenter involved with 2 double plays today. This one, he starts with a flip to Cosma, 4-6-3. Braves on top. Day, Friday, April 12th, the Cardinals will be handing out the Stan the Man harmonica. Stan Musial Harmonica Day, Friday, April 12th, and that is a hot item. Cardinals.com to get your seats, April 12th. Carpenter, Holiday, and Craig. Cardinals with just 1 base hit against a lefty, Mike Minor. Ground ball to the right side. Ugla sliding on the outfield grass and makes the play. Matt Carpenter owns that 1 hit. 1 for 2 now, and it brings in Holiday, who hit a screamer first time up and lined out to center field.
Ugla, offensive second baseman, but not noted for his great range and defensive ability. He made a nice play there.
Matt Holliday and his wife Leslie expecting their 5th child. As Matt pops one foul for strike 1. Another solid year for Matt. All-star appearance at .295. Drove in 102.
Really become an established St. Louisan, getting involved in the offseason with a lot of charities.
And a ground ball that's pulled foul. Holiday, along with Freeze and Alan Craig, they have the Homers for Health program to benefit kids at Cardinals Glennon and Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. We're a part of that as well. Every home run hit, you can make a pledge. No balls and 2 strikes on Holiday. Chop to the left side. Pasternicki, long throw, 2 down. Be a part of Cardinals history Saturday, April 13th. Team will wear the new alternate St. Louis jersey for the first time. 25,000 fans, 21 and older, will get their own full button-down replica. Compliments of Lumiere. It's Saturday, April 13th. Nice-looking jersey.
I was going to say, I didn't know about you, but I think you just answered my question.
I love it.
I really do like that jersey. I've started wearing it on the school programs ever since I got one on the Caravan.
It's got that cream color, the older style look. St. Louis on the front to replace the birds on the bat. One of the iconic logos in all of sports. But St. Louis on the front for the first time since, I believe, the 1930s. Buddy Bates, Rip Rowan, Jerry Risch, Mark Walsh,
Lou Brock.
They're all here. There's the great Lou Brock. 2 balls and 1 strike on Alan Craig. First time in many years. No Bob Gibson recovering from knee surgery. He will be there on opening day, though. 2-2. We're still trying to coax Bruce Sutter into coming down. Jim Edmonds, as we've talked about, has been added as a pre- and post-game analyst, and he was in uniform for a while down here along with Willie McGee and Ozzie Smith.
I think the Cardinal fans are just so pleased to see Ozzie in attendance once again. And nobody can be disappointed with Willie McGee.
He has now been added to as a special advisor to John Mozeliak. As Craig draws a 2-out walk. Just the second base runner for the Cardinals, and it brings in David Freese with 2 down. First walk issued by Minor. Part of a rotation that'll feature Tim Hudson, their big workhorse. Chris Medlin, who's just been sensational dating back to last year. Paul Mahallam still trying to figure out that 5th spot. And we know about their closer. Their closer is arguably the best in the game right now, and that's Greg Kimbrell.
Remember, they traded Tommy Hudson to get a former closer from the Angels, Walden. But he's only pitched 1 time this year. He's got a bad back. He's a hard thrower to add to as a setup man. They have a dynamite bullpen. Arguably maybe the best in the National League.
How about Kimbrell, Al? 116 strikeouts in just 62 innings last year.
I'm top of my head. I think it's 89 saves in his first 2 years.
And Freese waves at it, strikes out for the second time today. Cardinals strand a runner. They have stranded 2. We move to the 5th here at Jupiter. Braves on top. Such a nice day here in Jupiter, Florida. Glad you're with us. The first of 10 spring training games on Fox Sports Midwest. Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. The Braves own a 1-run lead here in the 5th inning as Shelby Miller takes over for St. Louis.
Heard his name so many times since he signed as the Cardinals' #1 draft pick out of high school. He was the Cardinals' minor league pitcher of the year in 2010 and 11. Did get to the big leagues last season. You see his numbers. That's this spring, but he had 1 start, and that was the last day of the season, and threw 6 shutout innings against Cincinnati. Pitched very well out of the bullpen, and many people think that for the long run that Shelby Miller should be the 5th starter. Maybe for the short run, maybe you have Joe Kelly, but I don't think there's anybody that doesn't doubt that Shelby Miller is going to have a long major league career.
1-0 Atlanta. And the first pitch is taken for a ball.
And Dan, you know what the most exciting thing about last year was for Shelby? Is he finally struggled. You do not want to see a position player or pitcher get to the major leagues and never struggle.
A wake-up call in many ways. It's popped up. Craig is near the dugout, and it's out of play.
And the reason you say that is because they're going to fail at the major league level. I've seen people that have gone throughout the minor leagues, or go through amateur ball, the minor leagues, never fail, and then they get to the big leagues and have trouble and never can figure out how to get out of it. So you always want to see a young player struggle a little bit and then see if they have the intestinal fortitude to fight their way out of it or to figure things out. And
to his credit, he did.
He did. He had a great second half. He saw Joe Kelly. He saw Rosenthal pass him up and go to the big leagues. But he didn't pout, and he figured out the second half and was one of the best pitchers in the minor leagues second half. And then he showed people that he can pitch here at the major league level.
2 balls and 1 strike. Miller and Joe Kelly, by the way, are best of friends. All the way through the minor leagues.
Groomsmen.
They
will be.
Yeah, and they've roomed together. I mean, they do just about everything together. And now they're competing for that 5th spot as Miller gives up a base hit to Evan Gaddis. Bounced into a double play his first time up. He's 1 for 2. Leadoff man is aboard. We're underway here in the top of 5.
Well, Gaddis, I think on Monday hit it, knocked him down and then he hit a home run off it. But here's Shelby Miller, 6'3". He's 195. Just nice and fluid. Doesn't, no real exaggerated, but it's very comfortable and easily a repeatable delivery.
Terdoslavich flied out to left his first time up. Cardinals have been able to turn 2 double plays this afternoon. And for the Atlanta Braves, they are without Chipper Jones for the first time in 18 years.
This is 95? Rookie of the year, 95?
Yep, 1995.
Future Hall of Famer?
Undoubtedly. One of the great switch hitters of all time. There's even talk that Brian Cashman, when the Cardinals were in Tampa a couple of days ago, Brian Cashman, the general manager of the Yankees, had reached out to Chipper Jones' agent to see if he wanted to come out of retirement, play for them. Scott Rowland, another name mentioned, as well as Derek Lee, the big first baseman. Teixeira is out. He was hurt. World Baseball Classic. Alex Rodriguez is going to miss considerable time. Nick Swisher signed with the Indians, so they've got some pretty big holes in that lineup. And I guess with the Atlanta Braves, the question becomes, who is the face of their franchise now? My vote would go to Jason Hayward.
Yes, and I think the one thing that Freddie Gonzalez is not really worried about it, but there's been a lot said and worried about who's going to be the team leader with Chipper Jones being gone. And I think some of these guys will just come into their own. It's probably going to be Ben Francisco or Chris Johnson, somebody like that. It's going to be the third baseman, but the leadership is a void.
Here's a 1-2. Swing and a miss. And a strikeout for Shelby Miller, his first of the afternoon. Sunday, April 14th, Yadier Molina will receive his 2nd consecutive Rawlings Gold and Platinum Glove Awards. We had a ceremony before the game. 25,000 fans, 16 and older. Yadi's pointing to it right there. They'll take home that replica of the Gold and Platinum Award. Cardinals.com. So that weekend against Milwaukee loaded up with promotions.
I have to rename that award the Yadi Award. It's only been given out twice in the National League, and he's a recipient of both of them.
That's a hanger left up in the eyes. And belted out to left. Jordan Perez is in with a stand-up double. They'll hold up the runner Gaddis, and it's 2nd and 3rd with 1 down.
Minor, the pitcher spot is due up, and it looks like Mike's going to hit for himself. So he could help his own cause. he did the first time up as he laid down a sacrifice that led to the only run of this game. But here's your off-speed pitch. Look at it, just sitting right up there above the belt. So it just said, hit me. And he did.
The Cardinals, some pretty big losses on their side. Talked about Rafael Furcal out with Tommy John surgery. He was hurt late August last year against Washington. Infield is drawn in here for Minor. And the Cardinals' biggest loss, Chris Carpenter. And you think about leadership, Al, with the Cardinals. You think about Lance Berkman. Also, many fans would be surprised to hear this to an extent. Skip Schumacher meant a lot to this team, too.
Yes, he did. And in my mind, the Cardinals did Schumacher a big favor.
1-0 pitch.
I don't think Skip could have made this team.
And he goes to a team that, in many ways, is loaded, too.
And he goes to a situation like his new hitting coach, Mark McGuire. They can live at home.
With Wigington signed here, you've got Carpenter moving to second base, Descalso, Cosma. Only so many spots for that type of player. 1-2 the count.
Skip was so well thought of in that clubhouse and really had risen to one of the leadership positions, core player. But you got very little playing time late last season. And I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I think John Mozeliak did him a favor by moving him.
1-2 pitch. Breaking ball, chopped towards second. Carpenter, no play at the plate. 2-0 Braves. Minor puts it in play, and it pays off. No chance there for Matt Carpenter to get the runner scoring from third.
You have to get one. And Carpenter did everything he was playing in. He looked the runner, but just felt like it was too much of a gamble to throw home with a tag play.
So Shelby Miller, first inning of work, is allowed a run. We're back to the top of the lineup, and Jordan Schaefer has an RBI single back in the third. That was off of Joe Kelly, and has also popped out to short. 2 down, runner at third. Schaefer showing bunt with 2 down and a runner at third, and looks at a strike. The Braves last year, 94-68, second in the National League East. I was looking this up earlier. They've only had 2 losing seasons since 1990.
They had, 14 consecutive division titles?
Architect of that was John Sherholtz, and I know you know him very well.
John, spoke with him before the game. I first met him when he was running the minor leagues in Kansas City.
Here's a 1-1. Hit sharply to third, backhanded by Freese. He was playing in and makes a nice play. RBI for Mike Minor. We're midway through 5 as the Braves have added to their lead. Al told you earlier he won the batting championship a year ago at Springfield. He had .321. In every stop he's been at, the team has gone into postseason play and won a championship. Springfield, Quad Cities, Johnson Cities. He slices this one into left center field, and that ball will get down. Taveras on his way to second base, and he is thrown out. Tried to extend it into a double, and there's one away.
Well, they know he's going to hit, but there's little aspects to his game that still working on, base running, still fielding. But here, ball out away from him, slices. He's hustling all the way, but this wind kind of cuts it down. Didn't get as far away from the left fielder as he would have liked. And this is the time to kind of make those challenges, to go out there and push it a little bit. And if you get thrown out, you learn from it.
The way that things are set up right now is Kozma is in the hole, 0-1 with one out, nobody on. It would be very tough for Taveras to make this club. A lot of reasons you could see, because you do have Holiday in left, you've got Beltran in right, you've got John Jay in center. Shane Robinson currently would be your backup center fielder because they've already said that Beltran will not play center field this year. They want to save his legs. And part of that decision, I'm sure, Al, comes down to finances as well. Start a player's clock a little later, buy yourself an extra year, so to speak.
Well, I think the best thing for him, remember, you're talking about, and then you're going to have that with Waka, and you're going to with Taveras. They've never played at AAA. And, you know, you really, unless, they say that Taveras is the best prospect, offensive prospect, since Albert Pujols. You would have to have a situation like Albert. Bonilla got hurt. That's how Albert got to the big leagues in his first major league camp. And nobody's wishing that, you know, something's going to happen to Beltran or Holiday or John Jay. But that's the only way, and you don't want to bring a 20-year-old up here unless he's going to play every day.
Will not be 21 until June. Want to know the count on Tony Cruz.
And Dan, you said something else that I think is very important for a lot of these young Cardinal players. Is the most important factor of the minor leagues is to develop players. But when you can develop and also win, then you've got a great winning combination. So these kids are coming, they're developing, they're producing, they're playing as a unit, they're coming and finding out how important it is to win. They're going to expect to win when they come up here.
Said time and again, too, from Bill DeWitt, John Mozeliak, Mike Matheny. They talk about it all the time. It's not, let's get into the playoffs. It's we're expected to not only get to the playoffs, but then win. And that's the kind of culture that has developed over the last 10 or 15 years.
And I think we're all of us that are close to this ball club, you know, this is the time of year that even the Cubs think they're going to win. But
here we go.
I think we
Your first
all,
Cubs reference, Al.
I think we all would be truly disappointed if this team didn't reach postseason.
The 1-2 is hit out to right. Pretty well hit, spun around, and that'll get down. Cruz on his way to second base. They'll wave in the runner. Cardinals will get on the board. Scoring easily is Kozma, and it's a 2-1 game. That's 3 base hits off a minor to start the bottom of the 5th. Tony Cruz picking up his 6th RBI this spring.
Well, the right fielder really had no clue where that ball was. He saw it turned around. Kozma just picks up Oquendo. He sends him on home with the Cardinals' first run. And Tony Cruz is getting a lot of valuable playing time with the absence of Molina in the World Baseball Classic. By the way, he had 3 hits last night. Yadier, 3 for 4 in Puerto Rico's win over Italy.
Yeah. Team USA will play later tonight against the Dominican Republic. 1 out and a runner at second base. And Shelby takes a ball high. Left-handed situation in the Cardinals bullpen. You have Randy Choate, Mark Zebchinski talking with Mark today in the clubhouse. He was injured playing golf a couple of days ago. He was hit in the eye. He said he lost vision in that eye briefly. It was his right eye. Still bloodshot and very swollen. Hopes to pitch here in a couple of days.
It's one of those injuries you hate to tell the front office how that happened.
Adam Wainwright told Mark, hit it in the fairway and you don't have to worry about it.
That's right.
He was near a tree when that happened.
Yeah.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. Taken high, 3-1. A little surprised. Now, I know they want to extend Minor here. He's part of the rotation, but 3 base hits. Now he's gone to 3-1 on Miller, that you think about maybe getting somebody up to throw. But you've got to get your work in.
Yeah, once again, and it doesn't help there with a walk to the pitcher.
Reminder, we're back at it again tomorrow on television. Fox Sports Midwest, Game 2 of 10 this spring. Will come your way at noon. Spring training coverage brought to you by Fairmount Park, only on Fox Sports Midwest. Adam Wainwright gets that start tomorrow. Many believe the Washington Nationals, the favorite to win not only the National League East, but maybe the National League, if not the entire thing. Strike to Jay.
Most people will say the Nationals are supposed to win the Eastern Division and Atlanta come in second.
Runners at first and second. And Jay takes a ball high. John Jay, the leadoff man, is lined out and also popped out to third. Washington won 98 games a year ago. Atlanta right behind them at 94. Excruciating loss to the Cardinals last year by the Braves. Untimely errors. The very debatable infield fly call. That game just a year after the Cardinals came back. That improbable run where the Braves collapsed. So St. Louis has had a hand in that National League East. Foul territory, and it drops in. Jay has got a life. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Remember, they were up by 8.5 over the Cardinals. The Braves were, and then they went 7-16 down the stretch.
2011?
Yes.
And remember, I believe it was late August or middle August when Atlanta came to St. Louis, and you could just see that scenario was a possibility. Their bullpen was fried. Kimball brewed that save in St. Louis, and then, they were having a lot of trouble with their starting pitchers. There was injuries, and they had just overused that bullpen, and the Cardinals snuck in.
Strikeout on the outside corner of John Jay. Minor with his 3rd of the afternoon, and it's up to Matt Carpenter.
Strikeouts are glamorous, but there was a time when it was very meaningful to get a strikeout there with this scenario.
Two outs, 2 on. Carpenter has been involved in 2 double plays defensively. A double back in the first, left stranded. Also grounded out to second. Sliding play made by Dan Uggla. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Talking with Carpenter the other day, Al, about worrying about his defense so much. Have you lost what you had going last year, momentum offensively? And he said it actually was something that he was very concerned about. You focus so much on your defense, and it usually is the other way around. It's the guys that have an 0 for 4. You strike out in a key spot, they take that out defensively, and he said, really, it's the other way around for me. I worry about my defense, but I can't overlook what I'm trying to do at the plate because that's why I'm here ultimately.
And that's why they told him to work so hard on second base, is because of your bat. Minor, who mentioned last year, had a great finish to the season. In September, he was 4-0 with an ERA under 1, 129 opponents batting average in 5 September starts.
Chance here for Matt Carpenter. 3 balls and 1 strike. Might be the best spot in this lineup, hitting in front of Holiday and Craig. The number 2 spot, and Mike Matheny has talked about tinkering with that. Maybe putting Beltran in this spot in regular season play, giving you a switch hitter, and dropping then Carpenter down if John Jay is your leadoff man, which you would think he would be. Runners go, and it's popped foul out of play. We talked about Molina. Remember, Beltran is part of Team Puerto Rico, and Mitchell Boggs pitching for Team USA. Pretty good pitching coach on that American team. Greg Maddux.
Yep.
Joe Torre, the skipper.
Netherlands didn't have a bad pitching coach. Bert Blyleven, Hall of Famer.
3-2 again, fouled back.
And he was born in the Netherlands.
Took him a while to get to the Hall of Fame, and probably too long.
Well, you can forget about all that. He's there now.
Yep.
You know, so the old argument, you don't win any more games, you don't hit any more home runs during that 15 years you're eligible.
Cardinals have been out hit in this ball game 5-4. They trailed 2-1. 2 runners on, and here's a 3-2 pitch. Carpenter again fouls it back.
Good rip at it. We've seen Carpenter really hang in tough against left-handed pitching. Doesn't really bother him. A lot of that key is the front shoulder. Don't let it fly open.
One of the things, too, Al, Carpenter, if he's playing second base, you do lose arguably your best pinch hitter if he's starting games, so they have to see how that plays out. As Carpenter slaps it into right center field, this ball will get down. The Cardinals have at least tied it. Here comes Shelby Miller. Carpenter on his way to third with a triple. He drives in 2, and the Cardinals have their first lead of the afternoon. It's 3-2.
About pitching coaches, Roger McDowell, who had a great sinker during his time out to visit with Minor after the bases clearing double by Carpenter. Roger, one of the little pranksters in the game when he played. It was kind of a little different scenario seeing him as a pitching coach.
I always think about Terry Pendleton, Roger McDowell, Shea Stadium, down the stretch, Mets and Cardinals, and Terry Pendleton with one of the biggest hits that we saw during that run of the 80s.
Center field wall, right?
That's right, home run. As Holiday on the first pitch pops it up to the right side. Freddie Freeman is over near the Cardinal bullpen, and it's out of play.
Still nobody warming up, and I like this. I mean, there are going to be times that Mike Minor, with a great bullpen behind him, is going to have to pitch through some tough situations. You don't want to get a pitcher used to looking over his shoulder.
Jaime Garcia was so efficient over the weekend in his start that after he was done, they pulled him from the game. He went and threw more in the bullpen. You'll see that at times in spring training.
Saw that. Used to be like when the Japanese teams would come to spring training. You saw that frequently. A pitcher would start the game, and then he'd go throw another complete game in the bullpen after he pitched.
0-2 the count on Matt Holliday with a runner at third. Big Cardinal fans watching today. Want to say hi to family and friends. Luke and Avery watching on Fox Sports Midwest.
They've gotten older, those two.
They really have. Fought off by Holliday. And into the seats. Big crowd here in Jupiter. Roger Dean Stadium. Cardinals will play 5 straight this ballpark. Again, we have 10 telecasts beginning today of spring training baseball, then 150 of regular season play, all in high definition on Fox Sports. One and two the count on Holliday.
Teams on the East Coast would love to see another major league club or two come back into Florida.
Running out of teams, aren't we? To make that trip to Orlando to face the Braves, or Tampa to see the Yankees, go to Fort Myers. Boston is over there. You got the shared complex here with the Cardinals and the Marlins. There has been talk about having Houston build a complex near this area.
Or come in and share the Mets complex. They'd have to do some revamping there, but
that's in Port St. Lucie, just up the road, about 40 minutes or so. 2-2 the count. Arizona, and what they've been able to do is make it so attractive for those teams to relocate that area. Many teams short distances away from each other. Two balls and 2 strikes on Holliday. Hits it down the left field line, but yanks it foul. 330 down the left field line. 325 to right, 400 to center. Very fair ballpark, but when it's blowing like this, the wind will be very difficult. Two again.
The wind's always a factor in Florida. Difference is teams that train in Arizona feel like they can never perspire. You know, no matter what they do, they just don't sweat out there. And then they come here, and you can sweat up a storm, but you're always dealing with the wind that really has a tendency to get sore muscles, stiffen up.
Or if you're in Arizona, sometimes you just might get an inch or 2 of snow, which they had in the first week. Actually had snow in Arizona.
And it wasn't at Flagstaff or up in the foothills.
Good at bat here by Holliday. He's seen 10 pitches. Worked the count full, 3-2. Alan Craig on deck, and again, nobody getting loose for the Braves.
That'll be about, 2 weeks before we will be in Arizona.
That's right. Holliday fights it off. It's an area, the Cards bullpen. This is what makes spring training just a great experience, but you can actually sit right behind the guys in the bullpen. They let the little kids down there, and they're getting autographs throughout the day, pictures taken. 3-2 pitch. Outstanding at bat from Matt Holliday. 6 base runners in this inning alone. Minor has walked 2, that included Shelby Miller. And he's allowed 4 base hits and a chance here for Alan Craig.
Gonzalez just trying to get his pitcher stretched out. Now they will start getting some activity in the bullpen.
Runners at the corners for Craig, who hit .400 with runners in scoring position a year ago. 2 walks in the inning. Cardinals have received 3 this ball game today. Craig, one of those, back in the fourth. He's also grounded out to third. And Holiday's through for the day. As Craig bounces it up the middle, that's a base hit. Chambers, who checked into the game, is now advancing to third on the misplay by Schaefer in center field. Adrian Chambers, pinch running for Holiday. So the misplay by Schaefer took advantage of that. It's now first and third. The Cardinals have added to their lead. It's now 4-2 with 4 runs here in the bottom of 5.
About Alan Craig. Just continues to come up with timely hits, drive-in runs. He's just hit at every level and will continue. And nice to see him get rewarded with a big 5-year contract.
Caught your attention, didn't it?
It's ones I like. All of a sudden they can have a press conference and there's a signing. You don't know anything about them. And rightfully so.
Cardinals did that with John Mozeliak first week of spring training. He received a 3-year extension. They picked up the option for Mike Matheny, so he'll be in the fold for this year and next. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Freese has not looked comfortable at the plate today. He struck out twice, both times swinging. 0 for 2.
It's been a tough day for David.
One ball, one strike on Freese. Have to think one way or another. This would be it for Minor. Cardinals now with 6 base hits today. Lead it 4-2.
Has appeared that Minor's hit a wall, but don't want to be relieved.
And Freese draws the walk. Bases loaded for Oscar Taveras. Will they stay lefty-lefty here, or bring in the righty that's now loose and ready to come in out of the pen for Freddie Gonzalez?
Taveras has 1 grand slam this season.
That's right.
Spring.
So Oscar Taveras digs in. He singled, tried to stretch it into a double, was thrown out. That was to start this inning. And a breaking ball taken for strikes. So the Cardinals have batted around here in the bottom of 5.
And I think this will be the last batter for Minor, one way or the other.
Here's the 0-1.
Best hitting prospect since Albert Pujols, the minor league system has produced.
Taveras chops it to short. Pasternicki to first, and they just get him. Cardinals strand the bases loaded, but before they do that, they pick up 4, their first 4 runs in this ball game. They lead it 4-2 after 5. Visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealer today. By Bud Light Platinum, triple filtered, smooth finish, top shelf taste. By Bommarito, where price sells cars. And by Plaza Tire, the quick change artist.
Yeah.
Cardinals pick up 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th. We move to the 6th inning. And St. Louis with a lead of 4-2. Adrian Chambers stays in the ballgame to take over from Matt Holliday in left. Another inning of work for Shelby Miller. Cardinals will try to stretch him out. If you're just joining us, Joe Kelly made the start. 4 innings, 1 run, 3 hits. He struck out 1. And now it's Shelby's turn. Tyler Pasternicki looks at a ball up and away, underway here in the 6th. Pasternicki has struck out swinging, and he also flied out to center field. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Fights it off, and that'll be caught by Taveras. Freddie Freeman, followed by Dan Uggla. Shelby Miller listed at 215 pounds. They now say he's closer to 230. And again, he's only 22.
Yeah, he's 22. Kelly's 24.
Rosenthal is 22. Waka just finished up college. He was pitching for Texas A&M this time last year.
Silvio Martinez, now it's our understanding he's still got the visa problems, right?
That's my understanding, yeah.
Another top pitching prospect.
Carlos Martinez, yeah.
Did I say Silvio?
Yes, sir.
Age. Showing age.
Well, I knew where you were going with that. 1-2 the count. Nice pitch. Tied him up in a strikeout of Freddie Freeman.
And not only is it a nice pitch, but against a darn good hitter. 23-year-old that they think is going to really have a breakout season.
Second strikeout for Shelby Miller. And in steps Dan Uggla, who's popped out to short, also bounced into a double play for 6-3. Question becomes for Derek Lilliquist and Mike Matheny after this game is that you're starting to run out of time now. Cardinals will have another off day next week. They have 3 in spring training, which I'm sure, Al, for you, that's unheard of. You just don't have that many. Shift was on, and it's a base hit into right for Uggla. Reaches on a breaking ball, but you're trying to get guys innings. You're trying to get them work, and at some point, if that is your 5th starter, you've got to have him pitching. And if, let's just say, for argument's sake, it's Joe Kelly, he's got to go more than 4 innings. So you've got to start extending him in these starts.
Yeah, that's why back in our open I was saying that the fact that he'd only thrown 4 innings in his 2 starts previous today, you had 5 total innings for Shelby Miller coming in.
So 2 outs and a runner at first, and here's a 1-0 pitch to Johnson.
Back to the Uggla base hit. You can see where the second baseman playing back, and even the shortstop's in the hole. But Uggla is really a pull hitter, so I have no problem with that. But I was talking to Greg Walker. They feel that Uggla's starting to understand. He just did things because of his talent. Now he's starting to put things together, and maybe you're seeing him use that right field a little bit more.
2-1 on a fastball that hit 93. Miller has hit 95 on the gun today.
It's not so much, we've seen a lot of the Cardinal pitchers that throw harder than Miller. But he's got that more of an explosive type fastball with movement, where some of the guys that throw harder, it's straight. All through the minor leagues, they were always trying to get Shelby to incorporate his secondary pitches because he would need them at the major league level. And you understand, a young kid wants to use what he can get people or blow people away right now.
Runner goes, and a base hit into right. Hit and run was on with 2 outs. A 2-1 pitch. A base hit into right. Runners at the corners. Back-to-back hits. Evan Gaddis will be the hitter.
Ugler takes off. Got a good location. Ball off-speed pitch out over the plate. Easier to shoot that one towards right. Mike Matheny, Derek Lilliquist, not that they want to see any of their young pitchers struggle, but they are appreciative of this situation. 2 outs, runners at the corners. Now let's see if Shelby can attack the hitter and keep those runs from scoring.
Gaddis was the first hitter that Shelby saw back in the 5th. Picked up a base hit, came around to score on an RBI by Minor. At that point, it made it 2-0 Atlanta. Cardinals came back with 4 in the bottom of the 5th, and they lead it 4-2. Tying runs are on. Go-ahead run at the plate. 1-0 pitch from Shelby Miller. Here it comes. Good breaking ball. We were talking about it, Al, how they really wanted him to work on those secondary pitches, so much so in the minor leagues that they started calling the pitches from the dugout and basically forcing him, when he didn't want to do it, but forcing him to throw his breaking ball at times that he would have to at this level. 1-1 pitch.
You know, I understand the reasoning, but I don't like that. Because if a pitcher throws a pitch he doesn't really want to throw, it's going to be a bad pitch. Not going to have the conviction behind it, pull down on it, or to spot it. He kind of does it out of frustration. But something happened after he struggled for the first time in his career in the first half. He put it together and had a very solid second half.
One-two pitch. Foul back.
96.
You mentioned the power arms. We haven't even talked about Jason Mott, closer that signed an extension this offseason. We know he can throw upper 90s. You've got Waka, who is very similar to the velocity of Miller, mid to high 90s. Rosenthal, triple digits. Even Sam Freeman, when healthy, is a lefty throwing in the mid 90s. Chase that pitch and a strikeout for Shelby Miller. 2 in the inning, 3 thus far, and 2 innings of work for Shelby. Some changes for the Braves. including a right-hander, Anthony Barbaro, who is into the ball game. He's 1-0 this spring. 5 strikeouts and 7 innings of work. Barbaro takes over for Mike Miner. Miner ran into trouble last inning. Prior to that 5th was very solid.
Barbaro allowed 5 runs and 7 hits against Detroit. In his 6 other appearances this spring, he's allowed just 3 hits and 1 walk in 6 innings.
And Pete Kozma leads it off and takes a ball upstairs. Some changes for the Braves. Bear with us. Sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do here at spring training to figure out all the moving parts, but Blake DeWitt, pride of Sikeston, Missouri, is at second base, and Francisco is at third.
We don't have a nice catch
and right.
Especially since we don't have a numeric list of the Atlanta Braves players.
Jardoslavich, the catch in right field, takes away an extra base hit from Pete Kozma, who's now 1 for 3, and it brings in Tony Cruz. Cruz, an RBI double and a run scored in that big 5th inning. He's also flied out to right. Mike Miner, 5 innings, 4 runs, gave up 6 hits. And the first pitch to Cruz is taken for a ball. No activity in the Cardinals bullpen. 2 lefties throwing right now for the Braves. As Cruz pops one foul out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike on Tony Cruz. And when Yadier Molina is your everyday catcher, you're not going to play an awful lot. That was the case for Tony Cruz, but he's shown a lot of versatility, especially when Tony La Russa was skipper. We saw him play third, first in the outfield.
He was a decent pinch hitter.
Tony said with the addition of Mike as manager, beginning last season, his growth behind the plate really was sped up because of what Matheny could provide along with Yadier Molina. I said, what do you do? And he said, I watch. He said, those 2 guys, 2 of the best at what they do. Mike won 4 Gold Gloves, 3 while with St. Louis, 1 with San Francisco. Youngest manager in the major leagues last year. Now 42 years of age, Mike Matheny.
Navarro spent the majority of his time last season at AAA.
The 2-2. Breaking ball, slicing to right. 2 away. Second plate appearance for Shelby Miller. Walked and scored. Part of the 4-run 5th for St. Louis. Again, Adam Wainwright making the start tomorrow will come your way at noon. Washington Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals spring training action here from Jupiter. 2 outs, nobody on, and Shelby looks at strike 1. Cardinals last year 88 and 74 as they finished second in the National League Central. 1 win away from the World Series. Unfortunately, the offense went cold, but we saw that so many times the regular season where Cardinals would score in bunches, but sometimes they wouldn't hit in bunches too.
Couldn't win a game against Zito, the Giants, and it's one of his better games in several years against the Cardinals. Maybe he was throwing below the comfort zone of the Cardinal hitters.
Have to give Bruce Bochy a lot of credit. Sticking with Zito. Lincecum in the bullpen was big. Two and two the count on Shelby Miller. 2 outs and nobody on. You wonder why the Cardinals go in stretches like they do. And John Mabry, the Cardinals hitting coach, has been promoted to the top hitting coach. Benji Molina, by the way, added to the staff. Yadi's brother. There's Mike Aldretti you see there. Mike Matheny as well. But he said a lot of times we have very similar hitters in our lineups that we throw out there day after day. And said, hey, these pitchers are pretty good. They look at tape. You see how you're getting one guy. Might want to go that way with some of the other hitters that we have in our lineup. They pitch them very similar, and Cardinals at times would really hit a rut offensively.
Concentrated effort to try and manufacture runs.
The strikeout of Shelby Miller. We'll jump ahead to the 7th when we return on Fox Sports Midwest. StubHub is a great place to find the seats you want to Cardinals games live. Now they've added StubHub fan rewards so you can earn a little extra with your tickets, like seat upgrades. Head to StubHub, get your Cardinals tickets today. The Matt Hungarian, Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Glad you're with us. The first of 10 spring training telecast here on Fox Sports Midwest. 150 regular season, all in high definition. Rick Horton will be with us again this year. We've added Jim Edmonds. We made that announcement earlier today. Jim Edmonds will be part of our pre- and post-game festivities. Cal Eldred is now in uniform working for the Cardinals in various roles. Minor leagues. He'll jump up to the big league level at times. So Cal will be busy doing that. Spot opened up, and we have Jim Edmonds. A 4-2 lead for St. Louis. First pitch is tapped foul. And underway, third inning of work here for Shelby Miller. Terdoslavich, Peraz. Then we'll see the pitcher spot due up.
Shelby's allowed 4 hits in his 2 innings of work, but kept the Braves off the scoreboard.
0-2. It's easier just to say Joey. And he's flied out to left and also struck out.
I like your thought process there.
Joey.
Joey.
Here's the 0-2. Got him on the outside corner. Strikeout number 4 for Shelby Miller. Very impressive here, Al.
It is. And like I said, he's gotten in a little trouble, but he's shown the ability to get out of it. He's getting his work out there, and I do like what I see from him.
Well, Shelby struck out 29% of the hitters that he's faced in the minor leagues, including 7 double-digit strikeout performances. We saw him make a start at the end of last season. One of your favorite things to say is, don't believe what you see in spring training, don't believe what you see in September.
A lot of people have been tricked, basing assessments of what they see in September call-ups or in spring training. And
that night it was against Cincinnati, but you could just tell Cincinnati wasn't quite playing, with an edge. At that point in time, they had wrapped up the division, looking ahead to the postseason. Cardinals still playing for something. There's a base hit into center field. Right now, the Reds, most believe they are favored to win the division. But there's a little struggle between Walt Jocketty and Dusty Baker on what to do with Aroldis Chapman. Dusty would like to see him be his closer. And all accounts, Walt Jocketty said he'd like to see Chapman in the rotation.
There's another breaking ball there that he really slowed his motion down. It kind of just sat up there and gets hit. Which way do you like Chapman?
Well, to me, if you have an overpowering closer, and he was unhittable first half of the season, I'd love to see him as my closer.
I agree with you. And it's not the first, but we definitely agreed there. I think he can have that impact more times than once every 5 days.
Yeah, and you think about statistically what he did in that first half. His ERA was close to 0 for the better part of the first half. That line shot by Francisco. So runners at first and second. Right-handers getting loose in the Cardinal pen.
It's Trevor Rosenthal.
Last time out for Trevor, he struck out the side over the weekend at 4 pitches that registered at 100. So top of the lineup, and here is Jordan Schaefer. Runners at first and second. It's crazy to say that you'd be wasting a guy by putting him in your rotation, but you think about how the game is played today and the importance of having a closer, and not just a closer that you can sometimes rely on, but an overpowering, dominant guy, which he is.
They signed Broxton, to a multi-year contract to be the closer. But I agree with what you're saying, just because he's a weapon coming out of that bullpen. And as in the rotation, he still hasn't proven he can do that. And I still kind of maintain, because of his way he pitches and everything, I don't know if he consistently is going to go much more than 5 innings.
And the other thing, too, and it kind of ties into what we're seeing here with Rosenthal, he comes in, let's say Trevor faces 2 or 3 hitters, max a night. You let it loose instead of trying to conserve some of the velocity that you may have in the 5th or 6th or 7th inning as a starter. That's a big difference.
And talking with Mike Matheny before the game about Trevor Rosenthal, who was warming up behind Shelby Miller, he said, I can use him if I want to spell Mott. Mott's pitched 3 days in a row. I need to give him a break. I can use Rosenthal as a closer. I can bring him in to, with a couple guys on, leave the strikeout.
Out at second, and it's safe at first. Craig thought they had the double play. Would have been the third that would have been turned by St. Louis. Yeah, I found that interesting, Alan, talking with General Manager John Mozeliak, is the Cardinals nearly turned 2 here, and a pretty good turn. Second base here by Matt Carpenter make this close.
I remember Schaefer runs very well, and bang play at first base. Really wasn't hit that hard. And with the left-handed hitter able to kind of run out of the batter's box was the difference.
And Mo was talking about, Rosenthal maybe down the line is a closer. Not far-fetched to think in those terms with a guy that has his kind of overpowering stuff. And he was great last year in postseason play. Pasternicki looks at a ball upstairs. Shortstop today for the Braves has struck out swinging back in the first against Joe Kelly. Flied to center and also flied out to right. Runners at first and third in a 4-2 St. Louis lead. Shelby Miller trying to get through 3 innings. He has struck out 4. He allowed 6 base hits. Blake DeWitt is on deck. Two balls and 1 strike. It's always fun, too, when Rosenthal gets loose. The crowd down there watching him throw, they kind of, I'd say, take a more extended look at watching a guy that's throwing as hard as he is. The intrigue that goes along with somebody that can hit 100 on the gun. One-two pitch.
A blind man can scout him. Just listen to the sound of the glove.
And you hear it. Zoom. And you hear that ball coming. And the way that Trevor starts, Al, he actually will take about 5 steps away from the mound on the backside, airs it out, lets it loose, gets on that mound and starts pumping him. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 runners on, and a 2-run lead. The pitch at 95 from Shelby Miller.
He's been able to make pitches when he needs to. As you said, he's allowed 6 hits, but he's kept them off the scoreboard. And most of the hits have been, where he's used the secondary pitches, trying to get a strike. They get a hit, but then he bears down and keeps them off the scoreboard.
Schaefer off with this pitch from first base, and it's fouled back. Mike Matheny's looking at a decision here. Do you try to, if Pastornicki can reach, do you want to see Shelby get 3 innings in the books, or would you like to see Rosenthal come in with something more meaningful than starting an inning that's empty? You've got bases loaded, see what he's got.
Well, I think part of the, we know what his answer would be, say like the last week in Florida. He would do what you say, bring in Rosenthal, because it's closer to game situation.
And here comes Mike Matheny right now. Very slow walk, dealing with the return from St. Louis and back surgery. So bases loaded, and Mike Matheny will go to his bullpen. And Trevor Rosenthal will face Blake DeWitt with the bases loaded when we come back. They're loaded for the Atlanta Braves, trailing 4-2. Along with Matt Hungarian, Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. And Trevor Rosenthal could be such a weapon out of the bullpen for St. Louis this year. I'd be seeing spots like this in regular season play. Bases loaded, 7th inning. To look at Rosenthal's numbers, he has 5 strikeouts and 8 innings of work. Remember, he made the first start of spring and mechanically was out of whack a little bit. He said that he was too amped up. If you ask him, he'll tell you his preference is to be a starter, but understands his role. And here he's got the bases loaded and facing Blake DeWitt. A 4-2 St. Louis lead, and DeWitt looks at a strike. The pitch at 96 from Trevor.
That ball just looked like it jumped out of his hand. Some guys throw 92 and it looks like 98. Some guys throw 98 and it looks like 82.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fly ball into center field. Will this drop? It will. 2 runs will score, and we are tied. A bloop base hit for Blake DeWitt, and he's tied it up at 4. Runs charged to Shelby Miller. Didn't look like he got a very good jump in center field.
It's so difficult playing the wind here. And your first instinct is trying to hold a little bit. Get the read, but then
here's Todd Cunningham, the pinch hitter, and he looks at a strike. Runners at first and third. One thing you'll notice about Trevor Rosenthal, for many of our fans, first time getting a look at the Cardinals today, our televised game, Rosenthal put on about 15 to 20 pounds of muscle. He worked out at Busch Stadium in St. Louis all off season, and he worked out primarily with Chris Carpenter. Those two have forged a very good friendship. Strike on the inside corner, 1-2.
Well, he started last spring where Chris Carpenter said, hey, this kid is a sponge. He wanted to hang around him as much as possible, get his, utilize that wealth of knowledge. And Chris kind of talked him into staying in St. Louis rather than Kansas City in the offseason.
Also worked on developing a cutter, something that Carpenter has helped out with Rosenthal, and it's unfortunate Carpenter will not be part of the team this year. We talk about all the young pitchers. You think about his value in leading those guys just how to be a pro. The 2-2. Breaking ball, and that's tapped foul.
We'll probably talk more about it tomorrow with Adam Wainwright, but this could be a possibility. This is the last season you would see Carpenter and Wainwright.
Carpenter has meant so much to this franchise. Bottom line, when he's healthy, the Cardinals win. Other than 2010, every year that Carpenter made at least 25 starts, the team made it into the playoffs. 2-2 the count. 10 postseason wins for Carpenter. He's also just 11 strikeouts away from second place all-time in franchise history. 2-2 the count. Runners at first and third. 98 on the gun from Trevor Rosenthal.
When you're a hard thrower, and your velocity will definitely increase as the season goes along.
A 3-2 pitch, and he struck him out looking. So Rosenthal comes in, gives up a bloop base hit to Blake DeWitt. That scores 2. Time to stretch. Tied up at 4. the Atlanta Braves as they've tied it up as we move to the bottom of the 7th. It's 4-4. Betancourt is also checked into the ball game. This is Alex Wood. Talking with the Braves folks, they are really high on this guy, Alex Wood.
He's rated as the 7th best prospect in the Atlanta Braves organization. Rated as the player closest to the major leagues of the Braves 2012 draft class. He was a second-round selection.
So John Jay will lead it off. Then Matt Carpenter, Adrian Chambers. So 3 lefties against this lefty Wood. First pitch is a strike.
A lot of motion, arms and legs going all over the place. So deception is a big part of his game.
John Jay on the afternoon is lined out. Francisco knocks it down, stays with it, and Jay is 0 for 4. Lined out, popped out, struck out, now grounded out. Nice round of applause for Matt Carpenter. A triple, 2 RBIs. He's also doubled, left stranded back in the first and grounded out. Been a part of 2 double plays defensively at second base. Washington Nationals in town tomorrow, on the air at noon. Back home in St. Louis. Carpenter slices this out to left. 2 away. I don't know about you, Al. It's just odd. You've got no Chipper Jones, first time in 18 years. No Bobby Cox, Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox. Their time has come and gone. And yet the Braves continue to find ways to retool and win. But it is odd not seeing those faces.
It really is. And Freddie Gonzalez, talking to him, he's very thankful he's in Atlanta and not with Miami Marlins.
Chambers trying to bunt his way on. Thank you very much. Quick inning of work. We head to the 8th. You're watching spring training action. Our first of 10 on Fox Sports Midwest. Friday, April 12th, the Cardinals will formally pay tribute and celebrate Stan the Man's life and legacy. All fans 16 and older receive a playable Stan Musial harmonica. Giveaway, first of its kind, and one of your only opportunities to collect this unique Musial engraved harmonica. Special day. Mark it down, April 12th. Those tickets, still a few remain. Cardinals.com/promotions. And that is a promotional weekend loaded up. And it starts with the Stan the Man harmonica. We have heard an awful lot about this guy, and he is not disappointed. 19th overall pick by the Cardinals a year ago. Michael Waka from Texas A&M. 6'6", 210 pounds. And you see why those numbers are awfully impressive. 13 strikeouts, 9 2/3. He has not allowed a run and only walked one. They have given him opportunities to start. He's come in and opportunities to show what he could do to start fresh with an inning. He's also come in with first and third a couple of days ago, got out of a jam. I mean, he's done just about everything you could to make an impression.
Well, he's made the impression, and quite remote that for him to make the team. But I'll tell you one thing, it won't be long before we'll see him in St. Louis.
Now, he is only 21. Doesn't turn 22 until July. Another guy that throws hard. He is mid-90s. Very good fastball. A plus changeup, and really working on his breaking ball. And there's a swing and a miss and a strikeout to start his inning of work.
Well, they say he has the best changeup in the organization. And last year, you know, he's #1 draft pick. He's 6'6", and he has such a downward plane that a lot of times, even when he throws his fastball, hitters give up on it. They think it's going to be a ball. And then it has kind of that explosive little rise and gets a called strike. Then he has that great changeup that looks just like his fastball.
This is Christian Betancourt. And that's popped foul and out of play.
It's a young catcher that was at AA last year that they think he's just excellent footwork, strong arm. Kind of a question mark where they hit. He hit about 240 last year and then less than half a season and broke his hand.
When I watch Waka, Al, it's like watching a young Adam Wainwright. You know, same body type, the way that they carry themselves. I asked Mike Matheny the other day, I said, what impresses you most about Waka? He said, it's not anything he's done on the mound. He said, believe me, that has been a lot of fun to watch. He said, but it's everything else, how he handles himself in the clubhouse, mouth is shut, listens to everything that has been given to him. Slow roller is short. Just 2 away. Matt Adams, by the way, is your new first baseman. And J.R. Tolles, you may remember that name. Houston catcher is behind the plate. Tolles, you may remember one night at Busch Stadium, 8 RBIs against St. Louis, and now he's behind the plate. And quickly, 2 outs for Michael Waka.
Tolles had that career night. It was a franchise record for Houston and really struggled to get to the Mendoza line after that.
You talk about the plane of Michael Waka and how he delivers the baseball, and everything is coming down on the zone. A lot of ground balls.
A lot
just
of
like
strikeouts.
That. And a lot of that, too.
You know, last year he appeared in 11 games. Went from the Gulf Coast League, Palm Beach, Springfield. And he pitched there in the playoffs at AA. 21 innings, 40 strikeouts.
Tough play here, barehanded. And oh, what a play. Outstanding from David Freese. A look at the future in Michael Waka. Impressive. We're tied up at 4. Jupiter, Florida, the scene. Roger Dean Stadium. Braves about to hit the Cardinals 10-6 as we move to the bottom of the 8th. Shane Robinson will pinch hit. He has done nothing to disappoint this spring training, leading the club in hitting. Now, we talked about it earlier. Shane Robinson, because of his versatility in the outfield, you're going to see him make this club. He can play all 3 outfield positions. And time is called as they have to work on the gate down the right field line. But Cardinals have said that Beltran will not be the backup center fielder. They're not going to put him in that spot unless it's an emergency, so you have to carry somebody that can play that spot. And Shane Robinson, you would have to figure, would be that guy. And again, he's hit close to 500 this spring.
Well, leads the Cardinals in the Triple Crown categories. 500 average, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. Ranks among National League leaders, first in batting average, tied for 5th in home runs, and tied for 2nd in RBIs. So he's done everything he can to show them that he deserves to be on this team.
Here's a 1-1. David Freese on deck, and he's come up with the defensive play of the day just moments ago. Two and 1 the count on Shane Robinson. Fights it off, and he's 500 plus here, spring training 2013. What a spring for Shane.
Well, Shane, kind of one of those kind of favorites, not big in stature and everything, but a big heart, plays much bigger. Very good defensive ball player, and yet he's really put things together. I think he's figured it out. Went home to last year and kind of at times was overmatched a little bit, and now he's kind of found a way to have to make contact.
No activity in either bullpen, so quick work by Waka. You may see him back out for another inning. As Freese has a good rip and fouls it back. Oscar Taveras is on deck. Freese has struck out twice and also walked.
I think Mike Matheny told the troops that, well, let's get a lead and let's see Waka close one out.
Extra innings in spring training, Al. I know you'd love to see that. Freese hits into a potential double play. 6-4. No, they can't get him at first. You'll take bonus baseball anytime you can get it, and if that means spring training, that's what Al Hrabowski wants. He'll get it.
There's another weak attempt as Freese reaching for the ball, tries to pull it. Does hustle down the line to avert the double play.
Ronnie Cedeno, the pinch runner for David Freese. Here's Oscar Taveras. Singled and scored back in the 5th. That ball gets away, and Cedeno advancing into scoring position for St. Louis.
And I know I'd be disappointed if I didn't get that extra bonus baseball, but is it okay if we get the lead this inning?
Oh, sure.
Betancourt, we should have made that. That's a pass ball, not a wild pitch.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Taveras looks at a strike. Oscar today has flied out to left. The single, run scored in the 5th and grounded out to short.
Things go according to plan. He should drive him in, shouldn't he?
Absolutely. 1-1 pitch.
Top prospect in the Cardinals minor league system, and in all of baseball, one of the top guys.
Have you heard the ages I'm throwing out at you? I mean, guys are 20, 21, 22, Rosenthal. Waka 21. This guy's 20. The future is awfully bright. Little chopper up the middle. Off the glove. And Cedeno stays put at 3rd. It'll be a base hit for Oscar Taveras. Two major publications, I'm sure you saw it, Al, had The Cardinals as the top farm system in all of baseball. A team that has been winning a lot at the major league level.
There's Ronnie Cedeno. He's out at second base. This little chopper up the middle.
Ray Langford's old number, 16.
Yes. Now we can have a Hungarian drive in the winning run.
There's Pete Kozma. It was Kozma that came up with a key hit against Washington to make it a 9-7 lead for St. Louis in Game 5 of the division series.
If he wouldn't have done what he did in September, they wouldn't have got to postseason. So, no, he has to come in with a lot more confidence. Had a good spring.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to Kozma. Cardinals are down to their final strike 5 times in the ninth. That ball game. They were down 6-0. They win it 9-7, which was a club record. Largest comeback in an elimination game. Their 6th consecutive win in a winner-take-all game. Start having guys that no matter what the score is, late in games, they believe they can come back. Why wouldn't you?
Sometimes you just...
It's popped up to the right side.
Not a good at bat right there, but there's another one of the prospects in the minor leagues that you can see why the Cardinals would have the highly rated. They think all the time about the young pitching. But you think of Adam, Colton Wong, Greg Garcia at shortstop. You know, the Cardinals had a bunch of third basemen who were top draft picks last year. They had 3 in about the first 10 rounds.
Adams is 24. Be 25 in August.
Mike Matheny again today said that he has nothing to prove at the AAA level. Last year he was the talk of camp as he was the minor league player of the year for the Cardinals.
The Cardinals really have noticed 2 things with Adams this spring. One, his body. He's dropped about 20-25 pounds. And the other thing is he's shortened up his swing. Cardinals actually sent a chef to Pennsylvania to live with Matt and his family for about a week. Change his diet. He said, I just wanted to look more like an athlete.
Same thing with Lance Lynn, too, right?
That's right. Had the bone chips surgery that cut his season short a year ago. He's ahead, 2 balls and no strikes. Adams breaks his bat. That's a base hit, and the Cardinals have the lead. Into the corner it goes, and Adams on his way to second base. And with 2 outs, Matt Adams gives the Cardinals a 5-4 lead.
Can't be happier. You know, last year he was the talk of camp, did get promoted, kind of had a little trouble at the major league level, but we found out later he had the elbow chips, the bone chips. Shatters at bat, but big and strong. Atlanta Braves were calling him the Babe. The Babe came through.
Talking with Matt the other day, Al, about his role with this team. I look at it and what he's done in spring. He gives you versatility in the fact that Craig can play the corner position. So Adams could play first, but also gives you pop off the bench from the left side. And he said that's the one thing I've really tried to focus on here in spring is learning how to be a bench player. As that's hit out of play by Ryan Jackson. We saw him briefly up in the big leagues last year, but you know, Adams, that may be his role this year at times. A start or 2 a week and then come off the bench.
And as you say, if he can not only have that power, but learn to be a more effective hitter and not all or nothing.
There's a line drive into right and a sliding grab. That saves 2 runs. But the Cardinals, thanks to Matt Adams, have taken a 5-4 lead, trying to snap their 3-game losing skid. Ronnie Cedeno makes it 5-4 St. Louis. Adams has talked about that he wants to improve upon this year, and that is pinch hitting, coming off the bench, staying sharp, and he's done so in this ball game. Our Budweiser player of the game, Matt Adams, delivering with 2 outs, shattered bat. It was fair by about a foot down the right field line. Extra base hit for Matt Adams to drive in Cedeno, and the Cardinals have a 5-4 lead as we move to the 9th.
Perfect scenario. Now you do get to see Walker, and you see him close out a game.
Here is Jordan Perez. Home run, couple of RBIs. There's a liner in the left. The leadoff man is aboard. Chambers gets it back in, leadoff double. Like he went down to get that pitch.
And being off-speed pitch as he watch his legs kind of falling away, a breaking ball kind of falling away from it, but got enough of it to hook it down into the corner for an extra base hit.
Now it's Juan Francisco. It's the one pitch that Walker really has been working on here in spring, trying to improve that curveball. The advice of Adam Wainwright. And Francisco just trying to pull it to the right side and not drive him in.
Outstanding fastball, best changeup in the organization, and his third pitch is that curveball.
Wainwright's talked about reaching out towards the plate, snap off that breaking ball.
I think it's more important for him right now to close out a win. Be a 9th inning guy. Work on your future another time.
His coach in college at Texas A&M, Ben Childress, got Walker to get more on top of the baseball when he threw it.
A lot of times when a guy throws straight over the top, it really signals to a hitter he gets a good release point. But he doesn't fall in that category because he hides the ball well behind him, and it's just not that free open arm just right up there.
They've also talked about the downward plane that he gets by being on top of the ball, and his height, 6'6", yeah, is going to add to that. 1-2 the count. Francisco on a hop to second. That'll advance the runner to third. Let's see if Walker can't get out of this jam. Be a part of the Cardinals' historic night on Saturday, April 13th. Team will wear the new alternate St. Louis jersey. That'll be the first time, and 25,000 fans ages 21 and older get their very own full button-down replica, compliments of Lumiere. April 13th, cardinals.com/promotions. Again, that is a big, big promotional weekend. We hope you're there.
Here's the scenario that you really are dreaming about. You know, you want to almost get into this to say, okay, you're a strikeout pitcher. You got the one out, runner at third, pull the infield in. But we're really looking for you to strike somebody out.
As much as the Cardinals want to win a game, this also is a scenario they want to see Walker in.
Sure.
Game on the line, tying run at third, infield in here in the ninth. Right on that pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike. This is Jordan Schaefer at the plate. Schaefer has had a tough day at the plate, with the exception of a base hit in the third. One pitch, tapped foul. So 1-2. Al, as you mentioned, your changeup, arguably your best pitch to go along with a mid-90s fastball. You got a lefty up that is prone to strike out. What's your pitch here?
You know, you got those other options, you know, but the fact is, now that you're ahead in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes, you can get him to chase, whether it's the changeup down or the fastball up. Fastball up is a good swing and miss, or a pop-up pitch. Pop-up here in the infield works just as well as the strikeout.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
Now, most young hitters are going to say they're going to look for fastball, you know, and you still have to believe you can beat someone else's fastball.
There's your strikeout.
There's a fastball up.
Continues to impress. Gets the strikeout there. Now Pasternicki. Again, Schaefer was the opening day center fielder for the Braves a couple of years ago. And these are major league hitters that he's facing. Pasternicki, another one. Opening day shortstop a year ago for the Atlanta Braves. So runner at third. That's the tying run with 2 down. 1 out to go for the Cardinals to snap a 3-game losing skid. It's good for us to be back on the air talking baseball.
Absolutely. Walker's fastball looks a lot sneakier than, you know, what the velocity will say.
Popped up to the right side. It is playable. No. Tavares off his glove. What would have been the game. So again, you're going to find out a little bit more about Michael Walkup. Wind has been playing tricks over there, and that's been really the toughest spot. It's blowing hard to right field. Played tricks on all the outfielders today. Pasternicki has a life. It's 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 down and a runner at third.
One count. Toles wanted that ball inside. He got it in there.
The 2-1. Missed in, and now Blake DeWitt is on deck. 3 balls and a strike.
(3-1). You got first and second base open. You don't have to give in to this hitter.
And he does it. 3-2. Crowd of just over 7,000 comes alive. Line drive into right field. Tavares makes the catch. Couldn't handle the easy one. Handles the tough one. And that's how the ball game comes to a close.
Good to see a lot of the future of the Cardinals, and You talk about Waka, you talk about Tavares. That future is not that far away. Good ball game.
So Oscar Tavares with a pop-up in right off his glove to end it? No. The diving catch? You bet. That's how the game ends today. We'll wrap it up 5-4. The Cardinals win it.